Hi, I'm Syd Blue and I'm a commercial pilot. I went to the Women in Aviation International Conference. I asked nearly every pilot I meet, have you ever had an engine go out on you while you're flying? Nearly no one has had a real engine out emergency, but check out these answers.
Yes, I have had an engine out emergency. It was in the F-15E Strike Eagle. Luckily there are two engines and the F-15E flies just fine on one engine. Now when I flew the F-16 there was only one engine, but we trained intensely for an engine out situation. We do something called an SFO, a simulated flame out landing, and we would actually practice those by pulling the throttle to idle and taking the aircraft all the way in. The good news is, in the Air Force, we have some of the greatest aircraft and engine mechanics out there, so I've never had any major problems and I'm very grateful for that.
On one of my first flights, we were flying over the Sierra Nevadas and we had 33 people on board the airplane I was flying. And we got this little red light, and I knew if we got I just had finished training, I knew if we got that little red light, that meant that the accessory gearbox was going out and that we needed to actually shut the engine down. Otherwise it was going to shut itself down. So we shut the engine down. It wasn't scary because I had just come out of training, and in training they teach you what to do.
I've not had a real engine out emergency. As I said, I'm a flight instructor, and so when I'm flying with my students, I pretend to fail their engine all the time, and they love me for it. But we do that all the time for practice, but I've never had a real engine out emergency.
I've never had an engine out emergency. They're actually quite rare. Also with the proper preparation too, making sure there isn't water in your fuel will help avoid that, making sure you have fuel. They're usually avoidable.
No, not that was not caused by my instructor pulling the power.
I've never had a real engine out emergency, but I have simulated them with an instructor in the plane, and after I got my license I like to practice them just for fun.
I have flown 54 different airplanes in my career, and yes, I have had one engine out in a multi-engine. I had just been checked out in a multi-engine, that means a two-engine aircraft flying over Salinas, and we lost the right engine. Everything went fine. I was trained for it, and I was actually the co-pilot on that flight. The captain did an outstanding job, and we worked together, calling out checklists, being a crew, and landed at Salinas, and it actually worked out just fine.
No, I've never lost an engine, thank God. I've had some hydraulic failures. It's probably the biggest emergency I've had, which luckily, not as severe as losing an engine or any kind of fire. I did have an engine fire once, but didn't even know it. I got back and the whole engine was burned out, so that was a little scary. But I didn't know it at the time, so that's good. I wasn't afraid during the fire itself, but no major emergencies. Luckily, with all aviation, fantastic maintainers who do a great job prepping the planes and making sure they're ready to go. And obviously, pilots wouldn't be anywhere without having the maintenance crews on the ground doing the great job, so we definitely appreciate that.
No, I haven't had a real engine out. We do practice engine outs all the time, but I've never had a real one.
Preparation is the most important part, of any sort of ego fly, whether it's in a glider or a Cessna or it's out there on the Thunderbirds in a fighter aircraft. It's thinking through all the things that could maybe go wrong and having an answer in your mind before you ever start the engine.